That's good. We have so many neighbors in the younger elementary.
Yeah,
Lots in the first grade classroom.
really. Yeah, I know.
7 or so. Elementary. Yeah, lots in the first grade classroom.
Really?
Yeah, I know 7 or so.
I can hear the static. I think we find it over.
Probably because Zoom is open too. So. You should be getting something that says you understand it's being live streamed. Amber, did you want to say something real quick so I can check?
Yeah, I show that we're live streaming on YouTube right now.
Good, and now we can hear you right. I think it was given some feedback because we had the YouTube volume and Zoom going. Now I just have Zoom going, so it should be good.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'll join me at the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll do the audience introductions. Jessica Key.
So we have Jessica Keen and we have Steve from HMK, Brian and Amber.
I am being told by my senior that the senior representatives for this evening are running just a little bit late for their presentation.
Well, I suppose we'll still let him in. Okay. On the agenda, we would like to make a change to it. We would like to, right in front of, we would like the new B, letter B, to be an update on masking requirements. Does that sound good, title?
Where you're placing that again?
4B.
Got it. Okay.
And then reports will become C, and spotlight on education will become D. Does anybody else have any other changes to the agenda tonight? With that, can I get a motion?
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded, and then if you could write those down
I am.
for me, Jenny, to pass on to Cindy.
Yep.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of the agenda passes unanimously. Okay, delegation of visitors. We don't have anybody who wanted to speak. So we'll move on to item 4. Updates. 4A, updates. HMK, you're on first. I moved you up on the agenda so you could get out of here. Unless you want to hang out with
Oh,
us.
no.
Well, I could, you guys want me to stick around for this program and implementation plan?
Oh,
That's the PIP, the long multi-step, decade-long program. Okay, I may have exaggerated that. Just a slight bit.
Seems like that, or?
could we make a change to our agenda and do that right now during?
Yeah.
I mean, we can do what we want. It's our agenda.
I like it.
But that would just help us be able to get through the PIP. Is anybody opposed to that right now?
No, I think it makes sense to do it all.
Okay, so if you want to go ahead, Steve,
Okay,
if you want to just maybe pull a chair up or something so the microphone can pick you up a while. Or you can come sit by me.
okay.
There you go. And then we'll get you.
Right now, we've just completed the design development phase design, which is second phase. The third phase is going to be CD, which is our construction document. That's what we finalize everything and get it ready for grading builders to put it out to bid. So we finished the design development phase, and we got it out to the estimators. So it's grading builders, you know, they're on board now, so they're going to be able to provide an estimate. And then Soderstrom has Construction Focus, which is a professional estimating firm out of Eugene. And so we'll have those estimates complete by the 28th. They'll exchange them to reconcile, because you know, each estimator, you know, has quantities maybe a little bit different. So we'll exchange information, and then we'll have a reconciliation meeting to make sure the two estimates align. We'll reconcile, and then we'll have a real clear picture of where we're at cost-wise at that point.
Well, to be honest with you, Steve, I still haven't seen a design.
Huh?
I haven't seen a design.
Well, what we're going to do is, once we have a reconciled budget, then we're going to present that to you, so that we have both budget and design together. But we're,
Isn't that a lot of work if we don't like the design?
well, I think that from my understanding, we've been working with the design committee. And no,
Well, you
it's-
met with them once, but they didn't see a design.
well, actually, we did present the design committee meeting. And they actually made some recommendations, and we made changes based on their recommendations. But, it's not a problem. That's what this phase is for. But we want to, you know, bring that product to you, let you look at it. If there's some changes, then we're in a position right now to make. That's what the
Okay.
design.
And that's not gonna cost us more money to make changes.
No.
Okay,
No, that's what the design development phase, that's what that's for. This is our opportunity to
Okay.
make any changes or, you know, before we get into construction documents. When we get the construction documents, that's when we want it to be finalized. When we enter into construction documents.
okay.
So the design development, gonna be, is that the 28th date that you were speaking of, that on the 28th, is that?
Yeah, that estimate will be complete on the 28th. Yeah, we'll exchange estimates and then reconcile it, and we'll have a complete estimate by the 4th. Is our plan.
Okay.
So that's what's happening with the design. We also have the abatement survey was completed. I met with PBS is the beta consultant. I met them out here again today because there was some contaminated soil under the gym in the grade school, which was basically left over from maybe some previous abatement. Some of the fibers are in the soil, so we're looking at how to treat that. And so when we get his report finalized and he'll provide us with some specifications, then we'll get the abatement out to bid in January. So we'll get that on board, ready to go.
Is that is not factored in anywhere, right? As far as any,
Well, we have an abatement
do you,
budget.
okay,
So that's what we've got going on right now.
So that's under the current elementary wing.
So we're looking at probably
Well, we know how to call them back to work.
So that's where we're at right now,
Okay,
with our process.
okay. So the 28th of this month is when,
Yes,
okay,
So that's when you'll have the estimates back, you'll reconcile those, and then my understanding was the first week of January
yeah,
is that's when,
we'll have a reconciliation meeting, which will you be here on the fourth?
yeah,
So you can attend that, and we'll go through the reconciliation.
don't quite understand what that means, but I'm gonna be really picky, so somebody better get me that
Shoot.
design quickly.
two estimators on the reconciliation.
So
So
we
you have one estimator, a second estimator, and they say what they think is the correct.
Okay.
What are their quantities might be a little different, they'll go, why are our quantities off here, so they'll dig into it, find out why, adjust them. Just go through and make sure they align, their estimates align, so we get a more accurate estimate. And we can absolutely get the design to you guys right now. So I can ask Marlene to get that to Dan.
That would be great.
You can
Sounds like
disperse
there's
it.
a consensus of that.
Yeah.
You would think
let's
that by
do
this
it.
point in time, Marlene would know that we should have seen that.
Okay. I'll make sure, I'll make sure that happens.
Okay,
And the abatement, did you say that estimate will also be by the 4th, or is that a
No.
bit later?
That will go out to bid. We'll get our
Okay.
prices back for that based on our bids.
okay.
That'll come to you folks, obviously. My guess is it'll be over 5,000.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah,
We know who helped with the first abatement, so
Yes.
we can call them back to work.
Although they're the ones who probably left first.
They are Perrydale graduates.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to lead us with the program implementation
yeah,
plan?
well, the PIP is just basically, it's an outline of an organizational framework. And just states the overall roles of everybody that's in participation, from the district level, HMK, all, together, how we're gonna work together, what our roles are, and just, bringing this program through to completion. It just goes through a lot of detail for each role, exactly what our responsibilities are. Has an organizational chart, communication. Organizational thoughts. It also talks about the bond oversight, which is important. We all want to continue with our scoring committee. We're kind of a good section of community representatives that are already knowledgeable about what the program is. I think they would be a good group to continue on if we're willing.
No, they'll stay in that role of our project advisory committee, working with you guys and communicating with us all along the way.
Good, excellent.
But our oversight committee is going to be the person who's really paying attention to the bottom line and a support person for Luray, or support people for Luray, and
Mhm.
the financial end of it. We know that you guys that's part of your job, that you do that too, but we had promised the community we would have
Sure,
a separate group.
okay. That's great.
And I don't know, for board members, that we had talked a little bit about a couple of people. I don't know, do we want to discuss that oversight committee right now or later date? We probably should get it going now that money's starting to come in. Right, Lorraine?
Bond oversight committee.
Yes. They're on page 10. 2.3.1.
You know, the basic goal is for the bond oversight committee to confirm that the bond program is being carried out as was promised.
Well, this is, for me, this is not exactly how I saw the setup working.
Okay.
Honestly, we created the PAC, our Project Advisory Committee, because I wanted them doing more of the day-to-day work
Mhm.
and oversight and supervision. I wanted our superintendent busy with school stuff. And quite honestly, the key people that are in charge of this bond is this board.
Okay,
So,
however you guys want to organize, this is a recommendation.
What are you thinking? For oversight.
for oversight, well, we had talked about you originally, but now you're on the board. We had talked about Dan Jones. We had spoke about Tim Janisowski and Anna Sharp. Dan and I were thinking maybe replacing you with Dan Jones, since he's served on the board before and he's pretty vested in this project, and he was part of us helping pass the bond and has worked really hard. He has a lot of part in it.
How
Um,
different is that from the bond committee, the design committee?
Different in the way that basically the financial stuff, how you get your checks and balances and what things are costing.
No, I meant like in terms of the people.
Dan is the only person that would be on both.
Okay, isn't Tim on?
No,
He's not on the, oh, okay, I thought he was.
But one of the reasons we made that promise to the community is that we didn't spend the way we had told the community we would. I'm going ahead and saying we, but I was not on the board. Let's make that clear. When we built the gym. And at the time, the bond committee, the bond project committee, right? I don't remember.
I don't remember us having a separate oversight.
We didn't have a separate financial oversight, correct? But that bond committee had made recommendations. And then I'm not really sure what happened, but we ended up building something different. No sense, huh?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. No sense in rehashing it. There was just some of those old in the community. There were members of the community who were kind of unhappy about that. So this oversight committee, what we promised is that we'd have a bond oversight committee that would look at where the money's being spent, how it's being spent. Are we overpaying people? Are we, and a checks and balance between the project advisory committee that advises the board and works with our project, are we calling you a project or program manager? Program manager? Program manager, okay, our program manager. And so then we'd have the oversight that would look at the finances and basically like when you get your checks statements every month, we look through them, we see where the money's going, we see where it's budgeted. And any questions the oversight committee can ask the advisory committee and can go through the board chair and the superintendent to ask financial questions. We didn't want to put added work on Lorraine, but we wanted an extra person extra people's eyes on it.
So
If there's somebody you
So
guys want,
in this model, Trina, are you saying then, would the design committee now go away, or are we gonna have two committees? Because I think if we have, I would recommend against having two committees, because if they don't have the same mission, it's gonna be confusing. So, I mean, I would say then do away with the design. I mean, there should just be one. And maybe it's a
we
mixture of
promised
people
from the
on it.
beginning there would be two. It was part of our
bond.
Okay.
It's what we put out there. I understand what you're saying, but
Well, just if you have people making design decisions that aren't thinking about financials, and you have people doing financial decisions, and if they're not talking to each other, it just seems like it's chaos for the contractors. I mean, could this be a point where the design committee hands off to the oversight now that we're at this point and you don't have this? It just seems like we're,
I'm sure that
Setting up something
I'm
to have
sure that the
problems.
design committee is gonna phase out a lot.
yeah,
Once we're building.
Yeah.
The monies and dollars, the people who are on the design committee, they don't want to look at the dollars. That's, they've already made that really clear throughout. I mean, you weren't here with us through that bond
Yeah.
process in this room, but they were really clear that they didn't.
We need approval from the board before we go to the next design phase. So that's one check that we have. We can't proceed to CD.
And that's my problem that I keep saying is I don't know what I'm approving. I'm approving this. This is full of a lot of fluff. I haven't seen the design.
The budget, I mean, for the.
We
at the
did
end of-
approve your budget.
No, we'll get our estimates back, and we have to make sure that our estimates align with our budget. And so once we do that, then we get your approval, you say, okay, yeah, it does align. Go ahead and proceed with the CD phase. So we have a kind of a stop point where we need
Yeah.
approval to proceed.
The construction documentation phase.
Yeah,
Yes,
before we proceed with that, we need approval.
right. And that's the part where once that budget is done, that's where the bond oversight, they're just looking to make sure that things are correct within that budget. It's not about design or cost, it's about if you go beyond in the budget, they come in and say, hey, board, are you aware that you're overspending? It's a lot of time to look over that money stuff.
yeah. Well, I just think, I mean, I guess if it's been decided, it's fine, but then can we get rid of the design committee? Because I still believe that you're in a setting up phase where if they're having to work with two committees with two different purposes.
They're
prices must work
not,
for
they're
everyone.
not working with two committees, they're working with the project advisors. That's all they're doing.
We put a bond, that's why I said I don't think that should be in here, the bond oversight committee. We're calling them different things, I guess.
You have a design committee, don't you still?
It was budget oversight committee for the bond.
So they're just, once we get to that phase where he says, and we have a budget with the design concept. And the BOC just makes sure that we stay within that funding. They're just looking at the reports every month and communicating to the board. They don't have anything to do with our project manager. Our program manager.
Okay.
They're just, they were an added thing on top of, they don't have anything to do with the project advisory, they don't have anything to do with the program. They're gonna continue to work with the same people they started working with. Another set of eyes looking at the financials, making sure.
Yeah.
'Cause we
And
did-
allowable.
Huh?
And allowable costs within the bond, all of that, right?
Right. And
Is
they
that gonna be-
communicate with us.
I mean,
Yeah, I'd also, I mean, I think that's a good question, like, who's gonna serve on that, and I would also suggest on all these two committees, there should be a board member on each of them, because it seems like there's total chaos, like, just in terms of the communication, because the board doesn't, just, every meeting, there's a lot of questions.
We had a
and
board member on it, it was Dan Jones, would you like to be on it?
I'll be happy to
Okay.
be on anything.
Go ahead, but we don't need anybody on the BOC because you're on it too, so all of us are on it, you're getting the same financial statements, just like you get every single month.
Yeah.
It
There
just-
still continues, I guess I don't understand still about the setup and when the design, so.
I don't
about the-
understand it either. I don't understand why I don't understand why we have a design phase that I've never seen a design on. I don't understand why we're getting costs for a design that we've never seen. Last I heard, you met with the the project advisory committee, right? And they made suggestions about the changes and nobody's heard or seen any changes since.
And then that's when they.
Yeah. We had to make the sorcerer made those changes. And now they just completed it. So we've got something. that we can show.
And that's what you're asking Marlene to make sure that we have a good copy of that.
Yeah.
That's not every nail, but the design concept, so we can give that to the board.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that just, I think, came out in 7th or 8th. So we just keep this copy.
I think maybe just the report back to the board on what has been happening. Like actual, like what you're asking for, maybe that stuff.
They
From the
don't have
committee
anything
and,
to report, they haven't seen anything either.
oh, they haven't seen it. Okay. Okay. Well, when we get it, then we'll have the opportunity to
Mhm.
ask questions
Yeah.
or, okay.
I just don't understand what we're supposed to approve on this PIP.
Well, it's just, I guess officiating the document. It says we do have an organizational way of proceeding. And I maybe a title for the bond oversight committee, maybe different, but I think it sounds like it outlines the same roles that you're referring to. They have direct oversight. Their basic role is to make sure that the program is carried out according to money wise, design wise, project wise.
That's our team that you're working with. You guys call it a bond oversight committee, right?
Yeah.
Brian, Amber, do you have any questions? So you want us to approve this document today?
So I'll just say I'm not comfortable approving it until we have these committees that are defined. Because if there's 2 committees and one's not even mentioned in here, and it seems like they have 2 different purposes, I think that needs to be better defined out.
The other committee is our committee, it's not with them. I think that there's some misunderstanding of that.
But he's saying that, and I'm trying to find it in here, that the oversight committee has financial responsibility to making sure it's under budget. And you're saying there's this other committee that also has financial responsibility.
So 2.1.
2 point, the one I said, 2 point,
1.5 on page 8.
but there's also,
That's one.
so on page 10, and then again, 2.31. And then page 11. And I read over this whole document and I'm not comfortable approving it. It's
Well, it just
full
seems
of-
like it's inconsistent with what you just described was agreed upon at the time of the bond.
You guys want to do some work on it or provide some descriptions that you'd rather see in there and look at revising it?
Sure. I don't have any time to put time into this in the next 2 weeks. I don't know how you guys all feel, but I have 0 time to put any time into this. I read over this and was just, it's pretty in-depth. And I feel like I'm very concerned. I'm concerned because,
again, I don't know whose job is what. I don't understand why I've never heard from Stoddard's. I don't know why they haven't shown up to a meeting. I don't know why I'm not hearing from them. I was surprised we were hiring a project manager. I thought we did that when we hired you. So I'm still reeling on the fact that after we hired you, now we're hiring, we have a project manager. I thought you guys were gonna be the people on site every day, and now you're not.
Or it's part of the general contract.
Right, I thought that in lieu of hiring the general contractor, we hired you. So is that Amber, Brian, were you guys under that impression too? So we're all a little, when we ended up hiring a general contractor, we all went, whoa, what's happening and why? You were confused at first too, correct?
Well, from the beginning of the process, and then we started talking about, once we got them hired on, then we started talking about CMGC, and David came and spoke at that, I believe it was a May meeting. And so then I better understood it after that. Is that what you're talking about?
That's when
Or
I
May,
started to
and then early
become
June,
very
early June.
confused. It was June, and that's when I started to become very confused. So I'm just sitting back trying to take it all in and watch the process happen.
Sure.
Understand what Katie's concerned about, two different committees, but the two different committees are not the same and they're not working together. One is just completely separate, has nothing to do with you and the bond and the building project and any of that, that you're working with your group of people. And they've been on that committee since the very beginning.
Yeah.
There was just public concern about spending and wanting to make sure that we stayed on task with our spending. So we agreed to our public to have a separate committee that reported to the board and just said, hey, it looks like you're spending a little too heavy in this area. Are you guys noticing that? Are you guys paying attention to that? Just helping keep us on task. It has nothing to do with you. It was to us. And that came from a concern from the community.
So if in this thing, I'm just trying to help what you said, and I know, like you said, not a lot of people have time right now, but if we change that where it says bond oversight committee here, it was project advisory committee, and that was a group we had. And then the separate was the budget group, which is just talking with you guys.
The budget group doesn't belong in this, in my
That's what
opinion.
I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's what you're saying. So there's a project advisory committee that would be in here.
And they're supposed to be working with that. And
Yeah.
they call it a bond oversight, which is fine. You can call them that. We named them the PAC, the project advisory,
Okay,
but committee, we named them that before we hired you.
yeah,
So you can call them the bond oversight. I don't care. It's just that there's a lot in here.
sure, we can,
And I don't understand why we have to do another one of these documents. I thought that
Yeah.
it feels like a lot of extra bureaucracy and layers.
yeah.
And so I'm just trying to understand why do we have a PIP? We hired a GM, what's it called? CMGC.
Yeah.
So why are we now doing this too?
It just provides an organizational chart. It's just a framework for how we all work together. And so you can refer back to it, like, for example, your project advisory and just delineates what they're going to be doing. It delineates what my responsibilities are. Everyone involved, it's just roles, responsibilities, organizational chart. It's just a kind of a guide and framework for who we are and what everyone's doing, including everyone has a role within the district, like Dan and Lorraine and are also outlining what they're doing. It's kind of like, just who's who and what we're supposed to be doing.
I guess I personally need more time on the
absolutely.
PIP.
We don't have to do this tonight.
Okay.
We're going out to, our CD phase will be done in March. So we've got time, spend all the time you need on this. If you want any
our construction documents will be done in March?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, March, yeah. So, sure, absolutely, take all the time you need.
well, I'm just one person, there's 4 other people here,
Everybody, yeah, whatever.
so whatever you guys want, there's just a lot of extra language in this, and I was gonna vote no tonight, so it's up to you guys.
I'll move to table this until the January meeting.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the table. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion to table is unanimous to the January meeting. So I would just say that for all of us to look over this really closely, and any questions you have, we'll go through Dugan and have him send it to you in
Sure.
one whole thing.
Great.
Is there anybody want to ask Steve any other questions or talk about anything else with the? No?
All right,
Thank you,
all right,
Steve.
thank you.
Okay, next item is 4B, update on masking requirements.
Sure, so Trina spoke to me earlier and she said that we just wanted to make sure we went over the documents that we had sent out to parents. So one that we had sent out on the 28th of November, right before we came back from Thanksgiving break, letting our families know about 2 items that ODE and OHA had discussed. And the first one was about testing the stay program. So the program would allow students to test, twice over a 7-day period. And if they were here at school, and they were exposed here at school. And so that has been something that we wanted to offer all our families. I know it talks about, unvaccinated in the document, but we're offering that to vaccinated or unvaccinated students and staff. And then the second piece in that was
Say that again?
we're offering that to our vaccinated or unvaccinated, all students and staff.
All
All
students.
students and staff. The second one was related to outdoor mask wearing, and the OHA had lifted the outdoor mask requirement in crowded places where distancing cannot be kept. So effective that Monday, we came back, masks were optional outdoors, including recess and physical education classes. They're still required indoors by Health Authority and Department of Education. But those are 2 items we wanted to make sure that we got to our families and let them have the option. If they wanted to do the test to say, that's up to them. Again, that's an optional program. If they choose to do it, we're completely behind that and support that. And then again, the item was about the outdoor mask wearing. A lot of that we'd already been doing here at Perrydale because they allowed us, if we're able to keep some distancing. So, which is always challenging within any school setting, but our kids did a pretty good job overall. And we, have been doing the outdoor mask option already, and then the state did that for everybody. That was the first email that we sent out. Are there any questions about that? Ryan and Amber, any questions on that?
My question would be if you're testing twice during a 7 to 14 day or
No,
7 to 10?
7 in 7 days.
In 7 days.
So-
So what system are you guys setting up for the testing?
It has to be the first day, so when they're first exposed, and then you have a choice between 5 to 7 days. We felt 7 was a little long, so we were looking at 5 days.
Okay,
So we felt more comfortable doing that. If we have to give a third, we give a third.
okay. And if our families are more comfortable saying if, no, we want to sit out of school during that time, we're letting them choose and do
Yes.
whichever one they're the most comfortable with.
Yes, they're optional. They have to give their permission for us to test, just like before.
Okay.
Definitely an optional program.
Do you have any questions?
is, it- I mean, have there been any issues? I mean, it's
Not really so far. I mean,
Okay.
we've been
Just
pretty
certain-
fortunate. Again, overall, as a school district, we're having a lot of family exposure stuff over this last, year, but we haven't had a lot of in class and in school exposure. Or transmission, I should say. So we've been staying relatively, healthy that way. But definitely, we have it in our community, so we just have to be prepared for it.
In our counties, we're still working closely with our public health.
Yes, I think Christy knows her quite well by now, Denise. So we do work with any of the people there at the county, but we work a lot with one lady named Denise there, and then the head of the department, Jackie. We sit in on meetings with sometimes too, so it just depends on the situation, but we haven't, knock on wood, had
yeah, it's been a while since we've had a chat.
talk with Denise, so that's been pretty good, but we have the system down pretty well. And again, our county was really good. They were one of the first ones that allowed the 7 to 10 days, depending on if you tested, a PCR test. And 10, some counties were doing mandatory 14 days. In fact, last week when I was on a call with different dentists from different counties, it was still kind of all over the place. So OHA was going to they were talking with all of them to say the 7 to 10 day is what you need to be doing. And that's one of the items that OHA had talked about too, in late November. So our county was already.
And how are the kids with the masking change, like for outdoor, everything has been a smooth transition?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that our kids overall, really even inside the building, our kids have been really fantastic. And we have 2 high schoolers here. I'd say overall our kids have done a really great job. I mean, yeah, just like you at a store or any place else, you gotta sit down. You notice some that aren't, but I've just been pretty impressed for the most part during the year. And feel free to comment if you want to on that, but don't feel like you have to. You're put on the spot.
Bad, really.
No, I think compared to a lot of other schools, we're in pretty good shape. And again, the outdoor, I think it's she is a pun here, but a breath of fresh air to be able to know that you can.
Mostly the same. The kids have already been able to
Yeah.
have that choice outside. The only change was the distance.
The distance. Be a little bit closer.
Right. Do we have enough tests?
We're running a little bit. We have some coming and Christmas break is upon us, so we have enough to get us through the next few days. We're actually
There's
more
3 more
concerned
days
about
to
the
go.
number of droplets that we
You
have
should
left.
not
in
have
that.
said that.
Yeah.
But,
No, they're
but we
not
can go
going.
to the county or, right?
Yeah,
We have resources.
Earlier this year, we actually connected with the ESD. Our nurse, Wesley, was able to get some through the ESD, and I, called in a favor from the YC superintendent. So we borrowed some from him when we were waiting on the other box to come in time. So, I think just networking, all of our schools are really working together to try to make sure that we're helping each other out if anybody gets low, etc. That was the only time we were ever low.
And they're the rapid.
Yeah, they're all the rapid ones. The Finex now, I don't know if they're gonna end up getting any other type of brand, but that's the one that the state seems to have a pretty good contract with, and that's what we've seen.
Amber, Brian, did you guys have any questions or anything you wanted to speak about? Jenny, did that cover everything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then there was also about, did you want to talk about the volunteers as well?
Yes,
You
yeah,
mentioned that as well.
yeah.
So it's actually time that you said this because earlier today, Christy and Cindy and I had a text or email thread going about putting that up on the website. So she had sent that to Cindy earlier today and asked to have that put on there about the requirements for volunteering and just updating that, even though it's been out there, with the state saying we need to have people with vaccines. Some people have definitely been asking about religious exemptions and the process that would take. And that will take a little bit of a turnaround because you actually have to have a conversation with the people that find out a little bit more about it. So it's not just something we rubber stamped. It was something that we had to have that communication with. So we'd have to have that same thing with the people that are asking for that religious exemption.
So are there like parents back in the classroom volunteering? Because, I mean, I have heard that from parents that they don't feel welcome yet. And a lot of concern about volunteers aren't welcome right now. So I would just share that that's really going around.
Thank you
quite a
for
bit.
sharing it. I appreciate that. I know we were working with a couple of elementary parents, or Christy was specifically, that had some of those concerns that maybe some people you had spoken with. I can think of two right off the bat.
Yeah, and as
this
soon as
last
we
week.
were able to get going again, I haven't heard any further from them, and they have been volunteering, so.
So hopefully that's
And we
gonna,
didn't really start bringing parents back in. We weren't really able to have that approved until late October. So
Okay.
it is something that is relatively new. It's not like it's been since the beginning of September.
but we're very happy to have them back in there. So we'll have some more in the building on Thursday.
And if they're wanting to volunteer, like, you know, when my kids were little, I came in, you know, every Wednesday and helped grade papers or whatever, right? So if they want to come in and volunteer something like that, and they're not vaccinated, we're gonna be doing like weekly testing of those volunteers, right?
Yeah, that would follow more with like the staff have to do, which is,
Right.
yeah, the state provides a weekly test option for those that are choosing not to be vaccinated for either medical or religious reasons. And so it would fall under that type of thing. It's on a consistent basis. You know, if somebody's coming to a game, it's kind of contradictory, right? Because they're at a basketball game, you know, or they are doing something else on a one-time deal. That's different than someone that's coming in consistently.
The difference is after school hours versus in school hours.
Yeah,
Right.
good point. So,
Right.
any other questions on that? Amber and Brian looking your way too. Okay.
Okay. All right, so then we'll move on to 4C reports.
Oh, that was, that's right.
OSBA, who was the OSBA report? I assumed you wanted that.
I think that was for the other item that she was talking about. I think I didn't do that.
Oh, okay.
I think she might have just put that on there from the consent agenda.
Oh,
I think that's maybe what she was talking about. I don't have an OSBA report.
okay. Skip that. Superintendent report.
Yeah, my report is verbal, sorry about that, but, you know, the month of December always a little bit crazy. We had a really good opportunity to hear our high school choir and our elementary performances this past week. And I have two of the choir kids here today. That's not why they're here for the senior trip stuff. But I want to start off with them. That's actually my spotlight education, so I'll talk more about them later, but I was really, really impressed with them. You know, and we always love having the little kids sing and do their performance, but here in the high school, you know, rarely do I pull rank around here, but I asked them to perform the other day when they were practicing. I just asked them to go ahead and perform just for me for a couple of songs so I could just sit and listen to it, because I don't get to oftentimes. And so they did, and you know, just hearing their songs that they did, I think this group is got a lot of talent. So I'll talk more about you later, but it was really great to hear you folks sing the other day. And then what's that?
And when Ashton was helping, my son was helping, he took it, well, I couldn't see anything, but he sent me a video of y'all singing, and it was beautiful. He was, isn't this really good? And I'm like, what? Who is that?
He was
He's like,
impressed. He mentioned it out
I
loud
was just gonna say, she texted me that your son, you know, you're in a small school when that whole situation just happened, but you know, that
he was excited to hear.
that's pretty fantastic too. Spotlight education. So
I separated those so
I
that we
know,
wouldn't
but
see them together again.
not to, but it's hard. So, you know, I know Christy will probably have some stuff to say also about the younger kids, but the things that sets us apart is that performance. And Julia Wilson in 5th grade, her mom used to teach up at Scappoose for 30 years, and she had said that before. You guys don't realize what you have here when it comes to that. Usually it's 3 or 4 songs and that's it. But to do the whole play and to have it multiple times throughout the week, you know, having 6 performances was a little crazy, but at the same time, it was really a great week of celebration for the different arts that we had this week, or this, you know, here back at Perry Dome, we have this full year again, and then we're able to celebrate these kids. Because a lot of times we always highlight kids with, you know, around Perry Dome with our athletics or the FFA, and to have this art and this drama type stuff and the choir, you know, when we talked about, you know, the club that they do here on Wednesdays with the D&D, and we're starting to, we want to make sure we're focusing on some of those other items. Not that we don't want to talk about athletics and FFA, but at the same time, just talk about a lot of the other things that our kids are doing. So, you know, it was really great overall. This Wednesday, so 2 days from now, changing gears here, we have former Perrydale kids, including your son. You know that?
Which one?
Alex.
Oh,
He's
no.
coming and speaking. We have a group of, I love that you didn't know that. So we have a group of about 8 kids coming and speaking to high schoolers just about some of the, you know, things that worked well and didn't work well for them right out of graduation. Some went on to college, some went in the career world, some did 2 years first. So just to have a variety of kids come and talk about their experience, we felt would be really valuable for our kids. So we're doing that on Wednesday. And you volunteered to do that. How great is that?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I saw Alex, unless Ms. Shore was kidding around about it. So I think he's doing it. So But-
We'll do a great job.
yeah, and so to have the kids being willing to come back, I think that says a lot. These aren't people that are, you know, in their 40s like me. These are, you know, people that just graduated in the last few years and they want to share that with other kids. 47, 48 soon. So, you know, it's just, it's a neat deal. We've had kids do things like this before, but just to have so many come back so soon was just a really neat deal that they were willing to do that. And they felt connected to the school. So that was outstanding. And then conferences, I know Chris is going to talk about that, so I won't steal thunder. I'll just say at the high school level, we had really good participation as well. High school staff felt like it was one of the best high school conference sessions that they've had.
Really?
So I was happy to hear that because we weren't quite sure what that would look like. And overall, since we switched that model where we have conferences during that week of Thanksgiving, we had a lot of concern about that when we first did it, that families may just take the whole week off.
Right.
But really, we've had really good participation, especially at the elementary and middle school level. High school level, like I said, this year was better and some real positive conversations. So about it. If you
Good.
have any questions, let me know, but good things overall.
Elementary.
Well, continuing on with conferences, elementary, middle school conferences were well attended. And lots of good positive conversations. A chance, of course, for parents to express any concerns. Maybe it was over volunteering. I think that was one of the topics. Just really being able to get parents into the classroom once we know what kiddos are up to. You know, the conferences before school started are valuable, but this was just a really good opportunity to build upon that. So we were happy with the attendance. Going back, of course, to winter performance, while I remember asking myself a couple of times, why is our schedule so crazy? How can we make it easier? And as we talked about at the last board meeting, our goals were to perform in person and to not have to limit how many guests they could bring. And there was a lot of benefit to this. Kids were able to perform twice. And I think for all of the hard work that they put in, they looked like they were having recess up there in a way. They were smiling. They were so happy. It was exactly what they wanted to be doing at that time. And so while I've always known that they love it, it was a good reminder after a couple of years of it's been a while since we had an in-person performance. And it was great to see them being able to perform and bring some of that back into our school building. I think we have a couple of classes that are even interested in doing some smaller version, you know, kind of readers theater, just because they saw how many kids really did enjoy participating in a variety of roles. So I really think that families accepted and were very willing to make this change also. We didn't hear a lot of complaints. While we did have the drawback of kindergarten and first grade being during the school day right towards the end, I think that the whole picture, that will work itself out, and it was still great. So
And it wasn't 215 degrees inside the gym.
it wasn't hot, it wasn't crowded, and kids and families had a great time. Our PPC provided way more cookies and way better cookies than I would have ever imagined. The juice and cookies were great, and it was kind of fun to be able to be handing that out. I had some high schoolers and middle schoolers helping. I even had, by the end of Thursday, I had elementary kids over wanting to help pass out cookies and juice. And again, that was just another way for them to give back and be part of the process and understand how these things all come about and what all it takes to put on an event like this. So I thought all in all, it was really great. And I just can't really think of any downsides when I was a little bit hesitant about the crazy schedule. Of course, we've got dress up days this week. We always love that last week before winter break. A little change of routine, and the dress up days are quite fun. Today was pajama day. A lot of folks dressed up in their pajamas. I'm not one of them this time, but it's that's just not my deal to be in public in pajamas. But the kids wore lots of great pajamas, really creative, really fun, and you could really tell that coming back on a Monday, it felt maybe even more festive than normal. So kind of fun. Tomorrow is Elf and Reindeer Day. That'll be interesting. I hope you guys are dressing up.
Just put a red dot with lipstick on.
Dollar Tree has great reindeer antlers. Don't steal my props, I borrowed them. On Wednesday is Ugly Sweater Day, and then Thursday is Holiday Tourist Day. And I've seen some pictures from other schools that did Holiday Tourist Day today, and that was pretty fun to watch. So moving forward, I think would just be a mention of the FFA. You know, we've got our entire school is in the packaging process right now, and some of our younger middle school students were in elementary school last time we packaged, and so they didn't necessarily understand the program and why we do it. So it was kind of fun to go in and chat with them. Even though maybe they participated for a few years, they didn't really have a grasp of what it was all about and why we need their help and focus and attention so that we can get this done as much as possible before the end of Thursday, so we have less students and community needing to come in over Christmas break to finish that. So really, I think that's, we do have a couple of new teachers that this will be their first time participating with Food for All. And they didn't quite know what was coming, but I think they really enjoyed it as well. So it's been great. Lots of new students too that never did this at their old school or anything similar to it. So they've really been enjoying that. Even the weather has really kind of been fine for us.
You know, just doing a quick calculation in my head, we've been doing this for a little, well, about 25 years now.
Yeah.
And if you average 200,000 pounds, which some years we have 350,000, but the first couple of years was smaller. But if you just figured out 200,000, you know, that's 5 million pounds of food that we've do this with, you know, all over the state, help feed people. Brian, I think you went to Ontario with me, didn't you? I know your dad drove the minibus. He did. So, you know, we've done Coos Bay and Klamath Falls. I mean, it's really every corner of the state. So it's been pretty great. Another way our kids can see the geography of Oregon. 1A definitely gives them that opportunity, but you know, it really is a great thing that our community does. And, you know, hats off to everybody that does this. And obviously we have one person that's kind of spearheaded it all these years, but it takes the whole group, and he'd be the first to say that to make this work. And all the other schools that pitch in and help out now too. So, really great.
That's it for me.
And I have Aaron's right here, special programs. So altogether we have 43 kids, 25 on IEPs, 18 through 504 with the accommodations. Speech, we have a new speech pathologist. She has been able to have 2 students, well, identified there were some students that needed to phase out from speech. They graduated from speech, as we say. And then we had 2 students who declined services. So we are lower on the IEPs. You know, some of that's a good thing, and some of that, you know, just not the route that the families want to go. But overall, our staff are working really well and done some training earlier this year that she spoke about. So if you have any further questions or specific questions, make sure you contact Mrs. Henry and she'll be able to answer those questions. for you.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on facility report? All this rain we have, he'll probably have to mow again soon.
Jeez,
I know.
Lake Perrydale's coming back. You know, a little kudos too. We have, I don't know if some people want to be named, but we have some local community people and Troy also that have really helped us out a lot with that parking lot. And anyway, it's very appreciated because we don't have those giant holes in the parking lot anymore. So, you know, that and the pavement obviously helps with that as well. So it's been fantastic over the last 5 years.
Do you have any chance of someday paving the front part?
Yet this church didn't give us that land.
I just. I know.
I mean, hey,
The kids at a
you
country
folks are the
school,
school
they
board, not me,
gravel.
so. Yeah, that authority rests with you. Lorraine may have a heart attack over that, depending on the budget here, but
We have a lot of
But,
projects, we can wait.
yeah. But it's something I think a lot of people, including myself, would like to see at some point. But
I drove by Sunday, you know, we had that wind, there was
yeah,
garbage cans.
yeah,
couple garbage, yeah.
yeah.
And then Sunday, the church people, I was like, gosh, it'd be just great if we could pave that for them. Well, for us. I don't know, it was just a lot of rain.
It was a lot. We actually had part of the event. I came Saturday night to check on things. I put the event cover thing on the front desk and sent Troy a picture and stuff. All the time I've been here, we've had tons of wind, obviously. And we've never had that event cover fly off like that. I don't even know which one. I think it's from
I
the
think
shop.
from the shop. Did you pick up the garbage cans and stuff too?
I picked up a couple, so did Troy.
Because when I went to town, I was like, oh, we gotta pick that up when I get back. And as we came back, it was all picked up.
Troy ended up getting here around the same time I was, and we didn't realize it. So.
Who picked up my cones? I forgot to pick up.
Those were blown around too.
The Dugan kids.
Those were blown.
Like I say, sometimes it pays to be my kid, sometimes it sucks to be my kid. The cones are.
I didn't even think
sucks to
about
be
this
my kid
until
moments.
just right now.
Ashton was able to watch us though, both nights. It was kind of funny because he was there. It was
Yeah.
like deja vu because he was like in the same spot. And my
Yeah.
kids were lifting the cones. I mean, seriously,
Oh, good.
it's
So they
like,
got picked up on Thursday night.
it's like Groundhog's Day.
Yeah. Glad to
But
feel
we
bad
had
if they're
some out
blown all over
front
the
though that
place.
blew over. Yeah.
There was
Oh,
cones
yeah.
Big
blown.
ones.
There was
Yeah.
cones
The
blown.
big
Those are
ones out
fine.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know where they came from. but-
Yeah.
We
Those were
keep some
not
out by the church so that way people aren't trying to park right where the buses are trying to go
Oh.
through. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So now we'll move on to 4D Spotlight on Education.
Okay, I'm gonna brag more on you guys. So I really feel like this is one of the best choirs we've had here at our school. And, you know, they have an opportunity to do the Linfield Festival, and then they'll possibly utilize or go to some other festivals to qualify for state. And I really think that this group, if they put in the time, has a chance to bring home a trophy with OSAA. I really do. And I don't say that very often, a lot of groups, because that's some pressure, but no, it's pretty great. And so I already talked to Miss Matthews about you folks getting some sight readings, you know, practice, and we need to see somebody. That makes a difference.
Yeah.
But and I found out today they have the same outfits they've had for almost 20 years. So I told Misty to come talk with us a little bit more tomorrow. I don't know if she mentioned that.
She put me in charge of
Yeah.
it. Oh, good.
So we're gonna talk with them because it's time to step up our game a little bit. So
Yeah.
so Mrs. Ford mentioned that we talked on, was that Friday, I guess, when we talked?
Probably.
And then my wife made a comment yesterday too and said, you need to make sure that they get taken care of. So you can thank those two ladies. So they made sure they put that in the ear. So but when she told me that today, it's been about 20, I think it has been 20 years, she said.
I remember when they got them.
Yeah. Okay. You and I both had those.
I mean,
gray hairs
black
at that
is
point.
spiffy. It really is spiffy.
red, something really bold inside.
Right. I have some ideas for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Everyone's gonna have ideas now. Watch out. Watch out.
Courtney just came in and she looked at it, she's like, I trust you, and then she.
So, yeah, I'm excited and we have a really great group of students. We have 7, I believe total, correct? Students, and there are 2 gentlemen, and then the other 5 obviously are ladies, and just a great combination of songs that they played the other day. And I'm not sure which song your son played or recorded and sent to you, but I know one of them is a piece that oftentimes is used by college programs, as Matthews was talking about. You may not know that, so you can ask her which one.
My brother was actually in the audience. He said he was doing a piece that we did with this, like, adult choir.
Yeah. It was great to see your whole family there.
Yeah.
Really great. I haven't seen
Did
all
you guys
the
ever make it into
Peters
the
kids
photo booth?
together.
Yes, actually, we did.
Oh,
We did.
good.
So
Okay.
anyway, I just, a lot of great things from our students, and we've tried to identify a student group or person and also staff. So I wanted to make sure we talked about our student group here. And then Mrs. Ford, I know, is going to talk about staff. So kudos to you folks. Keep up the great work, and we're going to do what we can do to help support you with all this.
She told me she had to choose between FFA and
Yeah.
choir,
Well,
so.
she said, I asked her next year, like, are you gonna do choir? And she's like, I don't like reading music.
Oh.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
It's just-
Yeah. I've been
Right.
reading it for about
part of the
2 years.
fun.
Now, if you do that, that's probably what a lot of other schools do. And so if you put a little, invest a little time, you get out of it what you put into it.
Get an
So,
edge.
all
All
right.
right, so my staff member, I decided to feature someone that I've heard a lot about recently, but she's brand new to Prairie Dome. That's Brittany Matthews, our 3rd grade teacher. She's coming in to a new district during these very trying times, out in the portables. Not only is there new curriculum to us, but that means it's all new curriculum, every subject area for her. And she's very flexible. She's asked some questions at the right time. She gets the information. She wants to do the very best that she can. We hear lots from parents. The feedback we're just getting is just very supportive of her. They just are really loving her. And something else I've really noticed myself, but others have also talked about, is that she talks to students so that they learn to listen and so that they feel heard when they're talking to her. So that focus, I think, in 3rd grade is really well timed. And I completely doubt she's ever really even raised her voice at her group of kids. They just all stop and listen when she starts talking. And I even found out she's some sort of a dance instructor, you know, in some of her spare time. So when I was in the gym and there was a little bit of chaos between some of the practices, all of a sudden she breaks out into some dance and they're all doing it. And it was just really positive and really fun. And that just showed me another reason why I'm hearing so much about her from staff and kids and families. So I decided to feature her. And we really look forward to continuing working with her this school year and hopefully many more to come.
Okay, item 5, consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
That was stuck for a little bit longer. Amber?
Amber, I think, said it first. Was it Amber?
They both were racing to see who could do it first. so.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes unanimously. Item 6, 6A, senior trip. You guys are on. Welcome.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
So our you know, as you know, we've been kind of uncertain whether or not.
Kristen,
we're-
could you guys step up just a little closer to the microphone so that Amber and Glenn can hear you?
So we've been a little uncertain on whether or not we're gonna be allowed an overnight senior trip, just because of COVID guidelines and different things that's been going on. So we have a few things, obviously, we prefer the senior trip if it allows for it.
Real quick, that's not from the school, that's from the state.
Yeah, from the state, yeah.
It's just clarifying, if the state's not saying we have any restrictions, so we're
Oh, okay.
assuming that they will be able to do a senior trip.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify if that wasn't coming.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's been a little bit uncertain, so we haven't, we've planned for other things. But, obviously, we would like to do the trip, and for that, we've, discussed doing, Sun River, renting houses in Sun River, on Memorial Day weekend in May, for Friday and Saturday nights, so we'd be there Friday, Saturday. And then a little bit of time would be on Sunday. So renting 2 houses, boy girl house, and but just having access to all the amenities that Sun River has and all the activities that we can do there. And
Sure, okay. For the skip days, some of them will occur in February or March. We want to go to the Kudu Ski Bowl, which is like a, what is it? It's like a ski lodge and it has like some inner tubing. There's snowboarding, skiing, downhill Nordic tubing, hot chocolate, and like recreating the lodge. And then the second one that we decided on was School Winkles in April and May. We wanted to do breakfast on the way to Wilsonville and then access to the amenities of the Family Fun Center.
And the skip days would be an alternative to the senior trip, if that wasn't allowed for some reason. But those are just the ones we planned and voted on with our class we had in advisory. We went over everything, we voted on them, and we did actually amend them a couple of times. And so that's basically our plan for either situation if we need to plan for both of them. And is there any questions you guys have about it?
How does how are you guys on finances? Are you able to afford it?
So they don't actually tell us how much we have.
Yeah.
They don't tell our teachers how much we have.
Well,
The teachers never ask.
we do. Trust me, we tell you.
Okay, good.
It's your money, I promise you.
That's what our
Lorraine doesn't
teachers
have
said.
it under lock and key.
I would like to know how much we have.
Yeah, we tried to ask Rachel and Rachel said, well, I don't
Come
know.
see her tomorrow, we can give
Okay.
you that
Yeah.
I
information.
will do that.
She might have it right now.
Yeah,
But I'm assuming we're fine. We have, since, you know, COVID and everything, we haven't had to pay for anything for a while. So,
As of 1031, which doesn't include any, this is high school.
high school.
No, high school seniors, class of 2022.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So as of 1031, which means you haven't done any, I haven't seen a whole lot of revenue come in, right?
We
from
had the
October?
REIT fundraiser.
Okay, that hasn't hit yet. That's November. Okay, that was 7,100.
Yes, so I think we have enough to.
The REIT money was 7,000?
No.
That's how
Oh,
much they're bound.
That was like, wow, that is.
And
Oh,
actually,
REIT.
and actually, we are giving out monthly AFB reports to the advisors, which is your classroom.
Okay, good. I
They
just wanted
should
to
know.
know, because our teacher.
Tell that teacher here that we'll chat with her tomorrow. But I will say that in all the time here, our business managers have always been good. If you go talk to them and ask about the money, they're always willing. I mean, it may take them a day to get back to you because of work concept, but they're really good about it. So if you want to see the monthly report, like she said, or want to send an email to Lorraine, she's always good about it back.
Miss Julietta, more of the like Rachel.
Yes.
Right. What do you guys predict you made on the REIT fundraiser? Any idea?
Or how many did you sell, do you know?
I think we sold around,
So one to me.
Wait, why did it like come forward?
yeah, we sold at least 24. I know.
Yeah, right.
I know it's more than that.
I'm guessing it was around 40 or 50, probably more than that, but
Yeah.
you know, for 20 bucks a piece. That's,
Sure.
You know,
That's great.
quite a bit.
And then what about your chaperones for overnight?
That was one of my questions next. Yeah, chaperone.
My father, no, my mother. They're
So in the,
vaccinated.
in the rules, it does say that you have to make sure you have a staff member, you know, you have
Oh,
staff
yeah.
members there, so.
Ms. Richards doesn't want to come.
There are other staff members that will do it, I know that.
We haven't had a discussion in advisory about that yet, but I believe that we could easily find, Ms. Crawford is probably the pick for our class.
Right.
It's gonna be chaos.
But
That's hilarious.
You did not just sell you Miss Crawford, no, I saw that right away. Oh, that's gonna be chaos. Oh, okay, let's sign up for
It's
that.
gonna be a good chaos.
And I don't think we'll have any lack of parent chaperones,
Yeah, sure.
just because the fact that, everybody wants to be involved in their kids' senior
Right.
year.
I don't think any of my other kids had a parent there, did they?
I remember you went on a bus on,
My parents went.
Not
to
on
my-
senior trip.
I thought that was senior trip. I thought that was Renee Goodell's group and stuff.
Oh,
Well,
I
if you guys
did.
wind up
Yeah.
looking, make
I
sure,
remember
I
that.
heard staff say they're
Yeah, but I didn't have a kid in that
interested
class.
if you guys wind up looking.
Oh,
So
yeah.
make sure you reach out to,
Oh, maybe I did.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Jared County's the best.
We'll probably have a advisory section on that, is
Yeah.
just deciding who we want to.
And I would suggest you don't wanna have too many stay for overnight
Yeah.
because. Like I'm on VRBO right now looking at houses for Sun River.
Mhm.
So if this gets approved, you're gonna wanna try to get a reservation going.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's-
Everybody
it's
wants
a
to stay in Sun
popular
River
weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
Mhm.
And to find a place that only lets you do 2 nights.
Yeah.
But
Right,
some
so
places want you to
three.
do 3 nights or, whatever the minimum might be.
I want my parents
So
there the last
I had a
weekend.
couple questions for you. One was, who are your advisors that are gonna go, who's gonna travel with you? And this, so that would be something you probably wanna get solidified soon. My second is, have you considered a different weekend?
We,
Cause that would probably be a very
Yeah.
difficult travel weekend,
Yeah.
both safety and being booked.
Yeah.
So you guys might have better options.
It might be
And-
cheaper if
And open up your window of opportunity and lower your expense if
Yeah.
you were to maybe look at a different weekend.
Yeah, especially if you're only doing 2 nights. So the senior trip traditionally had been on Memorial Day weekend because we traveled back on Monday
yeah,
Right.
and we weren't allowed to leave till like 3:35 on Thursday, And so we did it that way, but now if you're only doing 2 nights, and that's been kind of the norm the last couple or few times they've done it. So I think having a different weekend is possible or plausible. What I don't know is I can look at the OSA calendar for you. That may be, sometimes it's Memorial Day weekend, sometimes it's not for state track.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is getting
Yeah.
the track season.
Yeah. So I can look that up real quick as you're finishing your discussion.
So my other thoughts were that maybe you might want to choose a different weekend. And then my other suggestion would be that since you're only thinking of staying 2 nights, another weekend would be plausible for you, as well as maybe also include those 2 nights plus maybe your 1 year skip, because it sounds like you have a fair amount of money. So if you choose to not do it on Memorial Weekend, it might be more affordable, and then you could do a skip day, and then that way you might include all of your class in case everybody doesn't want to go stay the night.
yeah.
They all want to go? Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, we've been talking about it at advisory. So I think we've all solidified that we do want to go on that trip.
We've had so much disagreement about the skip days that we were just happy to get an
The skip
overnight.
days are
Okay.
just.
I think you just plan on the overnight trip.
Why are,
I just don't think there's gonna be. I mean, if that's okay with the board, it's your decision, but I think that makes some sense. I don't see them limiting it at this point, but
And I have a question. If you don't plan on, I mean, because you have 7,100, right? And then not including, the week, so that's what, another 1,000 or ish.
I guess.
there could be more to that.
So are you planning, what other expenses? Are you gonna spend your money before you graduate? Is my,
I hope so.
I would hope so. We
Okay.
haven't really
Just
solidified what
asking.
we're gonna do with
you guys can
money.
make that happen, right?
Yeah.
We're not giving it to the other class.
Good.
Again, I don't think we actually
Yeah,
had the
you earned
number.
it.
I don't know if, I'm guessing none of us talked to you, so we didn't have the
No,
number.
actually, we said, I have it CC'd to me. and we could
I've
have
never
it
heard,
on
I've
the-
never heard the money number.
Yeah.
I've-
Okay, so maybe none of us asked her after she got it, or she just forgot. I'm not sure. But,
Now that you know it, you can set a budget.
yeah, so, I think it'll be more than enough for the trip, I'm pretty sure. And we can figure out something to do with the extra money, that we have.
Well,
Yeah, it goes
and this
fast.
may be where you were going, but if you're doing a skip day thing on a Friday, You guys want to do Bullwinkles too? I don't see
Yeah,
why you
or-
couldn't do that.
Or you're already, I mean, Sun River Hoodoo. I mean, you could,
The only
like,
thing-
or you could do something,
Yeah, whatever, yeah, I'm just saying
Yeah.
more activities and, you know,
Yeah.
nice dinner and,
but it's.
The
Yeah.
only thing to worry about with Hoodoo is that it is in the bottom of the San Diego Pass, and there's not a lot of snow in there during the summer, springtime, so.
We'll just have to time it
Yeah.
well and make sure that we actually have.
You guys are talking May, you're, well, February or March, yeah, if you're going in May, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, you're-
And about like rescheduling another weekend too, that's totally possible. We could do
Yeah.
that.
I don't know
and
why we.
using-
OSA is actually, the state track meets the 19th through 21st at University of Oregon, so you're in good shape, so it won't be in different locations or different dates.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it's back there, so. Sorry,
I
Katie.
don't know why we. keep
And
going.
so,
No, I needed to know that, hopefully.
so anyway, 19th through 21st, so that would be a weekend you wouldn't want to do it, or the week before, so it might be the Memorial Day or the weekend after. The weekend after is graduation, or post
I think it's really
graduation.
cool.
Yeah.
So maybe that weekend.
So to be honest with you guys, usually, the senior class comes to us with exact dates, times that they're leaving, who's attending, who the chaperones are, like their details.
Yeah.
Are worked out, and it sounds like you're still working on those.
We had some disagreements and Mr. Tricky said he's tired, so.
Yeah, we can definitely, I can mention that to Mr. Richard, so
We can make an agenda.
get that all laid out. Is there a time where you guys would look that over, or?
Well, if you want to email that to us, because I thought, like she's saying, that, I mean, I talked with Mrs. Richards, I'm not trying to throw her under the bus, but about, you know, because last meeting, we didn't have anybody here. So then I said, okay, for this one, and that's why, you remember, I keep coming in first period saying, "You're doing it." So
Yeah,
that's
we had
why.
some issues. 'Cause they wanted to go paintballing and then some people didn't. And Squire tried to say, hey, if you let me run across the field, you get a free shot at me. And I said, only if you do. And he was trying to convince people. And then there was like a time where we all didn't want to do either things. Like personally, I don't want to go to Bullwinkles, but I think more than half the class wanted to. Yeah.
16th?
Yeah.
Oh
So I think if someone emails it, we can email it up to the board, and then you can always, if you wanted to, wait until January, if that's what you're saying.
I don't think that's what
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying, but I think we should go ahead and approve for you guys for 2 nights overnight Sun River. I think we can do that, but I would say get your details together and send that to us.
Yeah.
Through Mr. Dugan.
Okay, and then you were talking about using a skip day at the end of that, or just?
No, I'm just saying that if you folks want to do something on a Friday together too, it's not out of the
You have
question.
money left over.
It is,
That's true.
yeah, I
Make
mean,
sure you
it's-
have money left over,
Yeah.
that does go pretty quickly.
I was thinking.
Yeah,
we could
especially
do
with
like-
meals.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or we could do like.
And the amount of South and Sun River,
Yeah.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll make sure to talk to Ms. Richards about that, get a discussion with the class on who
Sure.
chaperones and who can, whose parents or other chaperones can come, and we will get all those details written out when we're going, when we're coming back. And Rachel will probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get a motion
Tesla
to
charger.
approve?
As a Tesla charger. I don't think we need that for the minibuses.
And then approve
2 nights at Sun River?
Sun River, yes. Yes, and details for Sunny.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Looks like you have 2 nights in Sun River coming up.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
get us those details. please.
Yes, we will.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Okay, Dan, you're on 6B exterior cameras.
Sure, so Amber and Brian, in your email, you have some, I don't know if you saw it yet, but, and then the rest of you, I had it on the desk here for you tonight. So right after we had our board meeting, we contacted 3 companies well, one, actually, we already had Inova, and then we did one out of Portland, one out of Eugene. So didn't hear back from the one out of Portland. So then you like the last one? Yeah. That was today they sent that to me. That was the one out of Salem. So if you notice their name, so we can go backwards. Let's start with the back page. Lorraine, you may get a kick out of this. Did you see it?
Yeah.
You didn't get a kick out of it as much as I thought you would. So the name of the company is F&S Security Electronics. So Security Electronics. And anyway, for them to compete with a quote and a server-based camera is something they don't have experience with the security. So initially they said, yes, we'll bid it. And then today they sent that over. So, and then the other quote was from Security Monster out of Eugene. They are a really reputable firm, actually. Their quote's quite a bit higher. They had said that they would utilize some other equipment that they felt was, maybe higher end, but maybe longer lasting. Their quote ends up being about $11,000 more. And then the one that you already had from before was from Inova, and that was back, at the end of October when we were originally doing it. I think they had a procurement agreement, and that one was $16,000. And again, that's the company that's been working with us before. So it's, kind of a known quantity right there. Again, not saying that Security Monster wouldn't be a good option too, but
I like their name.
yeah, but those are the two companies that submitted their actual proposals versus the one that sent us something saying, no, we're not gonna. We can't do it.
Remember with Innova, this is including our greenhouse and everything, and it will put everything on one system with it'll be able to work with our build, right?
Yeah, and the one with Security Monster would too, because it would
Oh.
replace it.
Okay.
So both of them would be able to do that. But again, the Innova one is something we already have. So I think that there's something to be said about that. And I know I sent you all a text last week during the alarm situation and during the performance, and we had somebody right there helping us out too. So, it was nice having that person on site as well. Happened to be a so.
I'm glad you sent that text telling us, because Sean sent me a text saying, hey, something's going on at school. There's a lot of activities. I bet somebody pulled the alarm.
Nope, just mac and cheese, like I said. So
No, I asked my son, I'm like, what happened with the, and he said, well, I think somebody didn't remember that they had to put water in it or something like that.
yeah, that happened twice a night. Luckily, the time my son did it, was the first time that didn't set off the alarms. It was somebody else's kid instead.
Alex went running outside with this smoking mac and cheese container. But then it still happened about an hour later. It's in between performances, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, good times, but yes, we made sure we evacuated both the game and the,
And
And
the
the
smoldering
event.
mac and cheese.
yes. So anyway, back to this, if you have any questions on that,
What
we
do you
can see
want?
that. I think Innova is a known quantity. I just think that they're ready to go and they would get this done quicker for us. And again, I always appreciate service and appreciate how close they are when we have issues. The other companies out of Eugene, which again, I'm not saying that's horrible, but that's a little further. And when we have issues, Innova's out of McMinnville. It's just, I think the proximity is there and they've treated us right so far. You have had a little bit of an issue with the camera system on the door lock system this year. Amity had something similar. I don't think that's Innova's fault. I think it's the manufacturer of the equipment, but they've been receptive on trying to get here and fix it. And it also is less expensive.
I was interested to know what if Brian had any thoughts too.
Coleman?
Yeah, on these. I don't wanna
Brian,
put you on
Jenny's
the spot.
interested to know if you have any thoughts.
Well, any cameras are obviously good. I think with Innova, we had kind of talked this about the meeting before. that we're going to expand into the new building. And, you know, I think we're either at Innova or we got to start looking at a bunch of like Ring cameras or something. But that has its own challenges on top of everything else because they're not, I mean, I guess these aren't monitored by anybody, but you're going to have the cost of data storage and stuff like that with a Ring type system. And then it would be its own separate entity, and I'd like keeping it all together. Obviously Ring would be cheaper, but it's nice to have everything together. I just wanted to make sure that we can, with Innova, like that, Dugan, like you have access to it or something where we can see live video.
We actually talked
immediately.
about, what we actually talked about the other day was putting a smaller screen up in the office and having that thing actually be, you can see all the camera action shots at one time. So that way you can see what's going on all at one time as well. And that may be beneficial, especially if the kids see that we're watching. That
Can
may
anybody
be-
see it from their phones though?
Yes, we can get it from our phones.
With Innova, you can.
Yes.
Okay, that's more important than anything, because if something were to happen, usually somebody isn't there or you don't have access to the spot if it's only in one spot. But if you can get it on your phone, that's going to be the best thing.
Yeah, so theirs is a cloud-based one. And it's a third-party system that they, for the cloud-based thing that they use.
And
So
that's
that we
included in
use it
the
from our
price.
phone. Yeah,
What's the monthly service charge? Because
Well,
you
Ray
have
would
a
know that
service
better than
charge
I
on
do. I
it.
don't know
Was
that.
that in the, was that in the bid?
And remind me what the
that,
funding
sh-
is.
that shouldn't be
That's what I
any
was gonna
different for
look
the
at.
monthly.
That you're already doing?
Yeah, it
Okay.
should, that should
It
still
should
be the
be.
same
Okay.
cost for
And-
that.
The fund, she was asking about funding. And I didn't know if we wanted to use the Fox system funding for that.
We could, and that's something that we had discussed before, that we did set aside money for a unified clock system. And Troy agrees that this would be a better use of funds for this.
Yeah.
It also helps meet some of our promise when we did our bond as far as upgrades on security like we talked about. So I think that that would be, you know, a dedicated funding source too, but I'd rather probably use the clock funds because
How much?
So we had 15,000 in the budget for that, but it's about 16,000. So it's not very much different. And it was coded to his regular maintenance fund. It wasn't coded to the 250 facilities upgrade fund. It was just maintenance. general fund.
so that would help offset that cost for it.
Anybody have a motion or
Do you want the funding source and the motion?
I don't think we need a
Don't
fund
need
source,
that.
just the motion.
I move to accept the, who are they again? Innova. We even use them at my house, sorry. I move to accept the Innova bid for security, upgraded security system for security cameras.
second?
Do we want the price amount in that?
So I was gonna see, do we want, you want the price in that?
Yeah, typically we say.
Okay.
Or approve the bid for the amount.
Approve the bid for, approve Innova's bid for $16,034.24 to upgrade the cameras and security system for the school.
20 cents. Is your second still,
Oh, yeah, yeah, unless somebody else on the, was trying to talk.
Isn't it 16,034.27, not 24?
correct?
Thanks.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and the dollar amount's correct. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? And Inova passes unanimously. Okay, 6C, approved budget calendar. I said
thought-
it. I
yeah.
said it. So we can start talking about it.
Okay, I thought you were looking like you wanted me to take this one.
No, I mean, what's there to take?
I know, that's why I was looking at you like, okay, what do you want?
I guess I can't find my budget calendar. I was
Yeah,
looking.
what
for
page
it.
is that on?
Page 55.
Mine's not. Is it on the back side of it
Right
again?
here, page 55.
That's the front.
Oh, let's see what they did. Here's the page. So my question is, are any of these on regular board meeting night?
Okay,
Huh?
yes. The 18th, the regular board meeting call, April 18th, the regular board meeting call is at 7 o'clock. The May 2nd is the only one that's scheduled that does not land on a board meeting. The next board meeting is May 16th. And then it's hopefully going to be, so I underlined proposed on the 6th, approved hopefully on the 2nd, and adopt is underlined on the June 20th. And so the only extra meeting you will have that is not, that's on this calendar, that is not a board meeting night, is May 2nd, Monday, May 2nd.
So I'll be really honest, I was really disappointed last year to have members of the budget committee vote no to approve the budget. And so my question is, are we not spending enough time with our budget committee? Are we not spending enough time going over the budget so that questions are asked, hey, I don't like this, or can I make a suggestion for this, or can we make changes to this? So that we can get the committee to approve a budget. So I'm just concerned because we did meetings like right before board meetings, and then it was like, I felt like things were condensed. So just self-reflection, I'm wondering if we didn't give our budget committee enough time to go over the budget properly last year,
Okay.
and
so
that might help us.
it was something I had thought of, but then we just decided to go ahead and put it like it was last year, and then you guys could change it if you wanted to change it before we approve it. So if you guys want to change them for different nights besides the board meeting night, then that. Let me know about.
I mean, I always hate to add more meetings. But
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that giving some more time and some more narrative around in just a more comprehensive way as far as what it is, you know, going through it, and then if there are questions, if there are suggestions, but those I think are there's some more time spent maybe understanding why and how I don't know, because you're not just always looking for just an answer, you're looking for maybe just understanding why you're making some suggestions about some different ways or thoughts, I guess. I don't know. That's just my feedback from being on the budget.
So when I look at a calendar, the May 2nd, is it not on a board meeting? That would be after our second budget committee meeting. It's May 2nd, and then the next Monday is May 9th. And then the next Monday is the board meeting that we have to cover. So if we want to, it's just a suggestion that hit them right away. It's easy to put out a notification that that's how the meetings are going to be proceeding with the publications we have to do already in, like, from the get-go.
And maybe it's just getting to the information sooner so that they have, there's more time to look over. If you want to spend less time in the meeting, I guess. I don't know how you, how you want to do.
Are you saying have more time between meetings, like as far as weeks, or are you saying less time? But just get the document out, the original document to them a couple weeks before the first meeting?
Yeah, and then too, if there are changes made, like documenting what those changes are, because it gets everybody, it gets really confusing as to like, wait, whoa, like I just went through a million pages and now you changed everything and what is it? Why? Those
And so
types
yeah.
of things,
The
just to
numbers
get some
were
time.
there, but I
Yeah.
understand, yeah. The numbers that changed were documented in that village, but there was lots of other little changes to do with the document that I updated.
Yeah.
See, I personally felt there was enough time and I was able to follow everything because we've been doing it for so long. Now, are we changing the way we do our budget? Are you changing the style of budget this year?
No, I was
Gonna
gonna,
wait one more year?
well, like, modified versus accrual. I
Yes.
mean, cash. That was going to be presented in January's meeting, but it'd be my recommendation just to stick with cash. But
Okay.
we were gonna deal with that in January.
Okay.
But if you
So-
still want-
So the budget would still look familiar. So for me, I was really comfortable with it, but like I said, at the end, I'm just self-reflecting. What could we have done better to have 3 budget committee members vote no on a public budget? Honestly, as a committee member, we had it for 2.5 months. So I feel like we should be meeting, reviewing it, asking for changes, getting those changes, as a whole. We should be all unified by the time we're trying to pass the budget. So I'm just wondering, like, training is only 30 minutes. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3,
Well, everybody is it, but one person.
yeah, we're gonna have 4 new people, right? And so I'm just wondering, 30 minutes probably isn't a good time frame for training,
Well,
right?
and
And then,
is there an expectation too that, folks are looking or are prepared, giving them enough time, between, and then they're prepared with their questions and, not that they understand everything in there, but, I'm just talking about outside of the meeting, the expectation.
well, we had our budget for over 2 months. And we met 4 times last year. So every time you meet, suggestions are made, and then Lorraine would come back with the changes, right? I just was wondering if, these 30 minutes before a board meeting probably isn't a fair time for us to have a budget meeting. It's probably not appropriate. I'm just wondering if people didn't get their voices. If they didn't make the statements they felt they needed to make about the budget. That's why we ended up with no. So I feel like having time to meet and ask those questions and have a good understanding. Because my first 2-3 years on the board, I still don't love a public budget. It's very different than a personal budget and a business budget. It's very different. It was difficult for me to wrap my head around it and become comfortable with it. Still very difficult, but I figure we should probably be fair to our budget committee. I'm really hoping we fill all 4 positions and have people there and have people serving the district. And so I would prefer we don't meet on board meeting nights, that we give a good hour and a half to the actual budget committee for them to, like, there was one meeting where
there was like 4 questions right at the end, and then we just closed and had to hurry up and go to board meeting, and I didn't, just reflecting, I feel like we could have prevented the no's.
A good suggestion, and I would be glad to change this if you don't want them on, maybe one on a board night or something, but I could easily change this and we can come back with January. Have this approved in January meeting.
Maybe it's the last one that's not on a board night.
So what would be a more appropriate training amount of time for training? Are we thinking an hour? I
Yeah.
get what you were saying about a half an hour being too short and on a separate night.
And on a separate night.
The training.
Well, maybe at the board, the budget, the training and the first budget meeting the first night and
Yeah.
then, but separate from the board.
Right. Like, because Monday, April 18th is a board meeting, right?
Yes.
So I was thinking the Monday after that or the Monday before that. I think we can't do it the Monday before that because you have to have the second notice published. So if we did it the Monday after, because Amber, we can't really meet on the Tuesday, right? That's difficult for you.
No, actually, they moved the meeting dates to Thursdays, so we're good for Mondays
Okay,
or Tuesdays.
or Tuesdays, okay.
we
So-
could do like, instead of Monday, April 18th, Tuesday, April.
We could do that. I'm not opposed. Is Tuesday night difficult for anybody here? Maybe just, yeah, Tuesday, the 19th, and then could we plan for an hour training and then the budget committee?
Start that at
6 and
6
7.
then, so 6 and 7.
Sure. So then May 2nd is still good, right? We could keep May 2nd. Unless you guys want to stay on Tuesdays. I'm good with May 2nd. That's only 2 weeks for you, but that works for you, right, Lorraine?
Yeah, it's just a matter of having to post the publish that we're gonna have the meeting, and that will work fine.
Okay. And then we have Monday, the 16th for the final budget meeting. And typically we want that. We don't need that. We can do that one after the after the board meeting, can't we? Because then we can approve it in June's meeting.
They have to, they actually have to adopt on the June meeting. You have to approve before the adoption meeting. And so you have to
Okay.
adopt. So if you want to add May 9th, that's to have a second. So we have April 19th, which is our first presenting the budget more or less. And usually they come with a few questions, but okay. And then May 2nd would be without a meeting after, that's Monday, that May 2nd, and then May 9th is the week right after. And so without another meeting after. And so that would give you 3 meetings without a board meeting following. And then if you have to have another meeting, like 4th meeting, then you still have a little time before your June adoption meeting. So if they don't approve on May 9th, you still have time in that. And May 16th would be out, right? So April 19th, May 2nd, May 9th. And would it be Tuesday, May 17th? That would be 3 meetings.
Is May 2nd to May 9th enough time for you if there's like a lot of changes?
It's known to be, that's what you do. with
Okay.
your life.
So the 17th will be have to list that as a board meeting also afterwards.
But
That's budget. I just want to make sure we don't have to do anything during at the board meeting after.
no, the board meeting
Until
on the
June.
16th is a regular board meeting. On
Yeah.
the 17th, you'd have a budget meeting, hopefully to approve the budget. And then once it's approved, then the board has to adopt. And I
Yeah,
have
on
to
the
do
20th.
it in that, yeah, on the
Yeah,
June.
okay. Just want to make sure that the board didn't need to do something that night after. Okay. I'm just thinking about for posting purposes. Is all.
How do you guys feel about that schedule?
Good.
Yeah,
I
and
think we still need to set a time limit. per meeting.
Okay,
I know that an hour, that got tight, but I mean, we've been in budget meetings until 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and you just don't get anything done. And we have other meetings that we can move on to. And I think trying to set like a 2-hour limit or something on it, and we move on and set it off until the next one. Because I think we had an hour before, and I think 2 hours would be plenty, but I can see that just dragging on if we don't set something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
so we'll set a 2-hour limit for each of our meetings. Or
That's what
hour
I
and
would
a half.
like.
No, would that be something the budget committee decides as a group though, once you guys? I don't know.
Their ground rules.
Okay, we can do that at the ground rules at our first meeting, Brian, but will you bring that up then at that time again?
Please.
Yep.
And I know,
Thank you.
I know that OSBA has
Thank you
like-
very much.
budget committee webinar, like basic. They do like a webinar every year. I don't- for folks, we could point them in that direction. I think
Yes.
that, I think that they, after the webinar, they have it, they record it and they can watch it.
I was just asking that because I wonder if that may be something good once people have been selected that we can send that as a,
That's what she was saying.
I think that's what you're saying. that's-
Yeah, we
it's a
can
link to
steal stuff
YouTube
from
or
other
something.
districts. Some other districts have some good stuff. Or
I was impressed with Lorraine's training. I think it was difficult because we were online.
I lost the game. so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I lost.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, sure, I'm gonna go that direction.
Hey, they have an opening on Jeopardy. Too soon?
No, not too soon.
The next Alex Trebek.
Great question. Okay. So, you guys want to have Lorraine put these dates out again for us to approve in January, or do we want to approve this for her now? January?
I'm good with approving now unless you want to
There's no hurry.
update. You're not in a rush.
There's
We
no
can
hurry
do
not
it
for
later.
it to be on January in a clean format.
Okay, yeah.
Amber, Brian, did you hear that? No hurry, so she'll give us it in a clean format in January. Okay,
Along with the ASB funds, apparently. Yeah, I said along with the ASB funds, apparently, that the kids, talk to those kids tomorrow. The kids, the teachers.
I was gonna say it's probably about the leadership.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Oh, we already did D, right?
Do we have to table that or? No,
Yeah, we could table it. Go ahead, give me a
Okay.
motion.
We already tabled it.
oh, did he? Okay.
No, the budget calendar, Brian.
Oh,
Brian, do you want to table it?
I just
Sure.
asked you to.
Oh.
Go for it.
I'll move to table the budget calendar till January.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? Approved budget calendar tabled for January, 100% unanimous. Okay. Moving on to patron input. Is there, Jessica, you change your mind, you want to speak? Okay.
Hold.
Is there anybody online? Oh, we don't have anybody online, do we?
No, it's on
It's just
YouTube.
our, yeah. Okay, board comments? Okay, dates of importance. December 20th to January 2nd is winter break. Do not call me, I will be in Mexico.
Is that Ruth with you?
January 17th, we have no school for Martin Luther King right? Observation Day.
Yeah.
January 18th will be our work session. Remember, we're starting at 6 o'clock instead of 6:30. And then our regular meeting at 7. There any other dates of importance we want to mention?
December 25th, and I don't talk to you folks again. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Okay. With that, our meeting is adjourned at 8:57.
Break out the Hallelujah song now if you want.
Thanks, Amber. Thanks, Brian.
Oh, there you are.
Did they?
They're out.
Like that.
And out.
Okay.